going on, guys? This is Chris, the Bonafide Hustler, coming to you live from another beautiful evening here in Austin, Texas. So I've got a lot of requests to make a video about vintage bikes and like how I hustle these things. And that truly is the bread and butter of how hustling started for me about 8 years ago, was with bikes. So I know a lot about bikes, current day, vintage, and just about any weird kind of bike you can imagine, and I've hustled it. So today I'm going to show you more specifically vintage bikes, what to look for, and I have some examples here around me. The things we're going to be looking at today are probably about anywhere between 10 and 30 years old and have substantial market value should you choose to actually hustle these things. But don't be scared of these things because there's a lot of money to be made here. So without further ado, we're going to actually take a look at some of the stuff that I have found across the years and things that I've got lined up for some projects. But if I decide to hustle these things, they're going to make a ton of money. So let's take a look over here. The first thing we're going to look at is the Schwinn Collegiate. This right here is probably an early maybe I would say a 70s bike right here. Okay, Schwinn Collegiate. The cool thing about this bike is that the actual frame and seat and everything is Schwinn, made in Chicago material. Okay, it's very, very cool. The frame made in Chicago steel, hard to find. And this is the kind of condition you're going to be finding these things at thrift stores. We bought this one for about 25 bucks, and it's super cool. This right here is just screaming, barkeeper's friend. It needs to be cleaned. It probably needs a new chain, but these are original pedals. These are original grips. And this is the original shifter right here on the top tube. So this, if you hustle it in this condition, in this town, I could probably make about 100 bucks. But if I fix it up and put some really cool gum walls on it, then I'm thinking maybe closer to 150 to 200, okay? So if you clean it up really, really good, it's worth a lot of money and substantially more than $25 that you've actually put just to acquire the bike. But yeah, this is a perfect example of what you can find at a garage sale or a thrift store, just rotting away in someone's place and they just want to get rid of it for dirt cheap. So this right here, Schwinn Collegiate, really cool vintage bike. All steel frame. Now let's come around here to something a little bit more recent, but still really vintage. GT is one of my favorite manufacturers because they came up with this thing called triple triangle. A triangle here, a triangle here, and then a triangle here, if you can see it. The triple triangle thing was one of the leading awesome mountain bike frame things that they actually built back in the day. This bike is probably a late 80s, maybe early 90s Karakoram, really hard to find. And this bike's got, flat tires, no seat, but almost everything on this bike is still the exact condition or the exact parts that were on the bike when it was issued back in that day. We bought this bike for about 25 bucks as well from a garage sale. This one right here is running Shimano Dior LX with SLR brakes. Really, really cool stuff. I mean, take a look at the brakes on this bike. It looks like a gigantic horseshoe. Really cool stuff. But anyway, this bike right here probably selling in town for about 100 bucks. Should I choose to fix this one up a little bit more, I'm thinking probably closer to $200 to $300 if I can get this thing gleaming. All right, let's talk about this other bike on this side. One of the big giveaways on vintage bikes is definitely the color. I've shown you this bike in a previous video. This is a Specialized Stumpjumper that I'm going to be building up for my girlfriend, the girlfriend that's actually holding my camera right now. This bike's really cool too. So you see the color is really, really beautiful, and then it fades to pink. Well, I wouldn't say fades, it kind of just abruptly goes to pink right here. Really nice, running Shimano Dior also, full, and yeah, everything on this bike is exactly what it was back in, I think this was an 88, maybe 91 model Specialized Stumpjumper. So really cool, has not been cleaned up. Bought this one for about, what was this one? I want to say 25 or 30 bucks at a Goodwill. It was just sitting out there and I managed to get it right when they put it out. But this bike, as soon as I clean it all up, make it all cool, and she rides it, it's probably going to be worth about, I don't know, 250 to 300 bucks. So look for stuff like this. I love Specialized. So I actually ride Specialized right now. I'm on my third actual Stumpjumper, but now Stumpjumpers these days are mostly full suspension bikes. They're not rigid steel like this one right here that you see. Now, I want you guys to picture a totally caked in chrome bike, okay? Let's talk like maybe 1987 or 88, completely caked in rust. Did I say caked in chrome? Anyway, caked in rust bike. Really, I mean, it's a gem, a diamond in the rough, and it's rotting away in the front of a Goodwill, okay? It's $10. Now, what do you do, right? It is a vintage mountain bike, so ding, 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 that should like ring something in your head. This is something I found about 3 or 4 years ago, and I totally saw the beauty in this thing, and this thing to me is priceless. So I'm going to show you one of my personal bikes that I like, that I've actually restored and built to my standards, okay? It's a GT Timberline from 1987, 88. It was before the Triple Triangle came out and their little race series and everything. This is when they were trying to figure out mountain bikes, and they really didn't know what kind of frame to use. So this is a very odd bike. When you get on it, it feels really weird, but it looks totally awesome. So let's go look at my GT Timberline. After 5 hours of scrubbing this thing with Barkeeper's Friend, this is what I have. This is a GT with the old logo, Timberline. All right, it still has the thing that says 18 speeds, although I did convert it to a single speed. That means only 1 gear. This thing was caked in rust. I'm talking totally caked in rust. And now you can see it's a completely beautiful bike. It's shining nice, and this is Barkeeper's Friend. About 5 hours on a Saturday night, I took care of this thing. But it was a long process to get it to look like this. Now everywhere this bike goes, it gets serious compliments. And I wouldn't be surprised in about, I don't know, a year or two, it gets a hard offer, somewhere around $1,000 to $2,000. But that's how much it really is worth to somebody that wants a beautiful bike like this that's totally one of a kind. Hard to find bike. So, you know, you look at a bike like this, you look at it for 10 bucks, and you go, you know what? How much time do you want to put into it? Well, it depends. If you're going to keep it, put as much time as you want. If you're going to hustle it, then maybe get all the rust off, maybe change the tires, and it's still worth about $200 to $300. But if you make it look beautiful like this, you put some really cool things like cork grips, and maybe a seat that you have laying around your house, like a Brooks saddle, then now you're talking about a bike that could be arguably worth anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 to the right kind of person that's looking for this exact frame. So these things are out there. I bought this at a Goodwill about 3 or 4 years ago for 10 bucks. Okay, so let's wrap this little segment out with hustle vintage bikes. I talked about color. The more wild the color is, the more cash you're going to be making. It's kind of true. The frame. I like steel frames. I like aluminum, and I like carbon, although a lot of the old bikes are going to be steel. So you're looking for keywords such as Tange, Reynolds, and Prestige. Okay, take a look on the frame. If you see Tange steel, Reynolds steel, or Prestige steel, that's already really good high quality steel material. Aluminum. When you see SLR, that's pretty much Trek aluminum, like really lightweight race aluminum. You can look for that too. Carbon. If you find carbon bikes, look for stuff like S-Works or 9.8 or 9.9. You see those numbers on some bikes, it should pique your interest a little bit, okay? Now, group sets. Those are like the shifters and everything like that. Really, if you want to look at the old stuff, Campagnola, they call it Campy, Sturmey Archer, and Dura Ace. Look for stuff like that. If you see that kind of stuff on a bike and it looks pretty old, you might have a gold mine on your hands there. And when you look at seats are really interesting too. A turbo seat, a vintage turbo seat, a seat that says turbo on the back, goes for about 50 to 100 bucks on eBay, just the seat alone. So you'll find these on bikes here and there. And then anything with US Postal Service, okay, like the things that Lance Armstrong used to race with, USPS anything seats are going to sell for big money. And then you got Brooks saddles like you saw on that bike over there. Now, I want to make this really easy for you guys, so let's make a zoom in here. Road bikes, here are the brands that you want to be looking for. Bianchi, Fuji, Trek, Nishiki, Schwinn, and Peugeot. On to mountain bikes. Specialized, Klein, really wild colors here. GT, Jamis, Manitou, and Trek. I've hustled every one of those brands. They're totally amazing, make a lot of money. BMX. Didn't show you any BMX bikes today, but Redline, Haro, Hutch, Skyway, Torker, and Kuwahara. Okay, so there's your little cheat sheet. Make sure you write that stuff down. If you see these in garage sales or thrift stores, pick them up. Alright, so this is one of hopefully many series on bikes. This will give you a little bit of a broad eye view on what I'm looking for and what you guys can find out there hustling. Okay, so good luck. I hope you like these videos. Make sure to comment below if you like these videos, and make sure you find me on Facebook and like that page as well. All right, talk to you later. Bye.